Welcome to episode 2 of Down the Badger Hole with Drew and Chandler. I'm Drew.
And I'm Chandler.
And this is not really my voice. So, how was your week?
It was better this week. It was long.
Yeah.
Super long, actually.
Super long.
I had court.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to pay money.
I have to pay money.
Yeah, it's always fun. Not for anything illegal, just like medical shit.
Yeah, no. I got a medical bill, and moral story, I was sued for it in 2022 and paid them, and then I was sued for the exact same damn motherfucking thing in 2024.
Yeah.
And instead of paying just the normal fees like I did the last time, I now have to pay the normal fee plus court fees. So yeah, fuck them and fuck them extra harder. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it sucked. But the weather this week was rainy, which was
nice because you work outside, which means you didn't really have to do anything.
That's exactly what that means. So
yeah.
Because we have to, anytime there's lightning within 10 miles, we have to take a 30-minute pause.
Yeah, federal jobs be like that, bud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was good. How was your week?
It was great because the rain doesn't affect my job at all unless I'm trying to like take Aylin out for a walk or something, which I don't generally just do during the day. Like it's like a planned thing.
Yeah,
so,
no, 100%.
And then I worked on a lot of podcast notes for the next episode. No spoilers. It's going to be a good one. And you may have noticed, sorry to interrupt you, that we have fixed the microphone issue.
That's what I was about to point out.
We hope. Yeah, so we should sound nice and crisp to your earballs.
We noticed that this was annoying last time.
So he does it again, ladies and gentlemen.
Hopefully it didn't. Hopefully they didn't even hear it.
Hopefully the sound cancellation works.
This was also annoying last time.
Yeah, we got some feedback about the vape sounds.
We're trying to fix stuff. A camera will be in the near future.
Yeah.
Hopefully. But yeah,
it's
other than that,
it's just a matter of what we're
just trial and error.
Exactly.
What are we talking about today?
Well, today we're gonna try something new because it's all new because this is episode 2. But we are going to talk about some paranormal experiences that we personally have had.
Ding ding ding.
Yeah, so it should be pretty fun. I don't know. I've got a couple like lined up in the barrel ready to go.
I have quite a few. Like genuinely speaking, that you haven't heard. I probably have like 100 in the bag ready to go.
100 and 100 paranormal stories.
You think I'm kidding?
In the bag ready to go.
Whenever I was younger, it was my goal to go to haunted places and just like fuck around. Like not vandalize or anything, not in that sense, but like try to get shit to happen. Obviously, I never touched a Ouija board or however you pronounce it.
Well, you don't say what it's a Ouija board.
Ouija. Okay.
It's just spelled Ouiji.
Yeah, to my knowledge, I've never touched one. I've been in the room. I've been in the presence of people using one. That's a story that you guys will hear in a few, and that's up there in my top 10s, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. How many you got in the barrel?
In the barrel, I have 5 loaded up, ready to go. And the only reason that I have those 5 is because before we were doing this podcast, I was going to send them to another podcast. Should I shout out the podcast?
Yeah, go for it.
Monster Fuzz. Great podcast. Rob and Eamon are hilarious. If you like the old Irish brogue, then definitely give them a listen. They're kind of in the same vein that we are, where it's just they started out as a cryptid podcast and have now evolved into mysteries of all sorts, and they do a great job. And Eamon's one of the original Those Conspiracy Guys, which is a massively huge podcast as well. So,
well, while we're shouting out podcasts, aren't you the #1 listener, Mel? For
stuff you should know.
Yeah.
I was rained.
You're not anymore?
I don't know. I haven't listened since that episode because I don't want to have my dreams and hopes and aspirations all crushed. But yeah, I was named the listener mail champion, which I think of forever. But that's just because I stopped listening to the podcast.
very small chance that everyone listening has listened to that podcast. So that's definitely a story that they will hear in the
I
future.
would not say that's a small chance. It's the most downloaded podcast in the world,
Is it
except maybe the Rogan Experience or Joe Rogan Experience or whatever Joe's podcast is called.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, it is at least it was the single most downloaded podcast in the world. Stuff you should know.
Oh yeah, I've never listened to any of it. Yeah, there's very select few that I have listened to. You really got to grab me. But the few that I have listened to, I love and have listened to every single episode. So yeah, but I would like for you to say something first.
Me to say something?
Yeah, I want you to start it off.
Oh, I'm gonna. Okay.
Yeah, you're gonna
All
start
right,
it off.
That's fine.
And then I'll try to one up you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I was just gonna go in kind of chronological order.
That's fine. That works.
Ew. I didn't know this was gonna be like a competition type thing.
It's not.
Where you're one upping me.
No, it's not. Just in my head, it is. We're brothers. Everything's a competition.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see. I would have been about 8 years old, which puts this square in the year 2000.
Before I was
before
alive.
Chandler existed. Young buck, this one.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was playing Upward for a church in Texas, which is, if you're not familiar, because I'm sure most people aren't, Upward is like church basketball.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's not great. It's pretty terrible. I was benched a lot because I fouled kids like way more than anyone else in the whole league. Because they'd hit me with a shoulder and then I would just deck them in the face because,
that's how you do things.
It paid off when we moved to LA and I learned what street ball was, because you don't call fouls in street ball and you beat the shit out of each other, and it's awesome. Except that it's really not when like all the kids have 100 pounds on you. It's really shitty. But either way, so I was playing Upward in this church, a church that I kind of grew up in, so I knew very well. And they just remodeled this church. There was a there are like three parts, right? So there's the gym part, which has like a giant walking track and a whole rec center thing. Mega churches in Texas, they're all kind of huge. And then the middle part is where all like the classrooms for Sunday school and that kind of stuff were.
Okay.
And then the last part was like the main church, where like all the pews and like the big
the main
like the main church.
The main, is it called a cathedral?
It's not called a cathedral in anything but Catholicism. But yeah, for lack of the word that it actually is, we'll call it a cathedral because my brain is just stroking out right now. Awesome. All right. So obviously we were playing in the gymnasium part, right?
Yeah.
Because that's where you play basketball. Well, my friend Dylan and myself were like, let's go hit up one of the vending machines before this game actually starts and grab like a Gatorade. Right?
Okay.
So we head into the middle part of the church, which at this time was being renovated. So it was under construction. So they had like lights off and like, nobody was really in there. But that's where the vending machines used to be. Spoiler alert, they weren't anymore. So we're like, well, shit, they're not in the stairwell where they used to be. Like, where did they move them to? So we walk through these big double doors, and like the old school heavy double doors that like clang when they,
with the metal bar in the middle, because it needs the support.
And if you run into that metal bar, like you are definitely concussed, maybe dead.
100%. 100%.
One of those styles, right? Like the doors themselves probably weigh 300 pounds for like one side. So we walk through those doors into darkness and we're like, oh shit, weird. There are no vending machines here. Let's check upstairs. Maybe we're young. Maybe they moved them upstairs, because that makes sense for a fucking vending machine in a church that doesn't have any elevators. Totally. So we're going through and we're checking classrooms. And we hear like a ching, ching, ching. And we're like, what the fuck? And I kind of look at Dylan. I'm like, you're hearing that, right? I'm not losing my mind. And he kind of looks at me like, you are losing your mind. I knew
Like
this.
he was just like, I
He
don't
was like,
know.
this is weird. I knew this kid for a long time. We were in like Cub Scouts and stuff together. And the fact that we were on the same upward team blew us both away. And we were like best friends for a little while until the spelling bee happened.
Oh, it's that kid.
You know what you did, Dylan. I'm just kidding. If you're watching, what's up, bro?
We're going to take a few seconds to do a quick little ad break. We don't want to be a podcast that does religiously upload ads, but we would appreciate you just taking the 5 seconds to listen to what we have to say about the product. And thank you guys for watching. Bing, bing, bing. I just want to point out that this mic came from a sponsor, and it sounds absolutely amazing. You guys can pick it up for $20 right now, and with codes, you can pick it up for $12. So if you wouldn't mind, just go ahead and click that link right over there in Drew's lap and pick it up.
Welcome back. Okay, so we're in the dark. We hear this crazy sound. It's in like a hallway. We're in classrooms that are branched off a main hallway on the second floor.
Yeah.
We're like, okay, that's weird. Whatever. So I poke my head out and I see a dude who's wearing like white shirt, bleached jeans. He's walking with a limp and he's got like a key ring the size of like, I don't know, a volleyball on his fucking hip. I was like, excuse me, sir, do you know where the vending machines are? And he kind of like just keeps walking toward us. And I'm like, this is very creepy. This is creepy to an 8-year-old. It would be creepy to me now.
And don't mean to interrupt you. No offense to anyone, but churches are creepy by themselves.
Yeah, for sure. Especially when it's dark.
Yeah.
And like you're kind of not supposed to be in the part you're in.
Yeah.
Right. So like weird. So I'm like, okay. And I kind of, Dylan's still in the room and I'm like, Dylan, let's go, dude. Cause I'm freaking out a little bit. And so he comes out and he sees the guy and he's like, oh, hello. And the guy goes, get out of my house. Sir, this is the Lord's house. So I'm not really sure why like you're screaming at us. And then he just kept hobbling toward us. So we being 8-year-olds, ran. So we bolt down the stairs.
Wait, you didn't run out of the church?
No, it kind of doesn't work that way. From the middle part of the church, you can't get out. Like, there's no like exit. And we still had a game to play.
Okay.
And we had shit to do. Like, we were there on a mission.
I guess that's
to get Gatorade or the equivalent. And no. Yeah, so we ran down the stairs. And when we get to the bottom of the stairs, there's this dude hobbling toward us.
The same dude?
Same dude. I mean, unless there's another dude wearing the same shit, like pot belly, like I don't know. I have no idea because it looked like the same dude, and he was in the kind of the same spot, just a floor below, faster than we were, which didn't make any sense to me, for obvious reasons. So
and he was just hobbling towards you guys, like he wasn't like, and you could clearly see his face.
Oh yeah. I can still picture his face like today. And he was funny. Again, he was walking with a limp, so it was like your quintessential like zombie movie, right? Except there was a jangle along with it because of the keys. It was very unnerving. So
especially to an 8-year-old,
especially to a fucking 8-year-old in a church. Right, good point. Yeah. So we're like, screw this. We bust through the double doors that we used to get in there. We're like, man, that was crazy. We run back to where like our team was meeting, which I think was in like a cafeteria or some shit because, well, it's a church. And like we were telling everybody, like there was some dude and he was like yelling at us. And our coach was like, well, where were you? And we're like, in the classroom area. He's like, you're not supposed to be in there. So it's okay that he was yelling at you. All right. I guess that checks out. Thanks, coach.
Did you proceed to tell him that he told you to get out of his house?
Yeah, he didn't care.
Oh,
church basketball. So I'm shooketh.
Yeah.
I didn't get my Gatorade, Powerade, or whatever. I had been told to get out of some dude's house when I was in a church. I was freaking out. So I'm like, I'm just gonna be a bench warmer for this game because like I hate all of this anyway. So they had like a walking track around
up on the top
around the gym, and it's like 4 basketball courts in this gym. It was massive. So I'm sitting there on the bench, and like there are people up there like taking
Like
pictures and
watching
stuff,
their
and like
kids.
there are people that are just doing laps and that kind of stuff because like these fucking white kids can't play basketball worth a damn.
Yeah.
Let's get our cardio in while we're doing this, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there and I'm just like looking up, and it's, I don't know, game's probably almost over, and I see him like come out of the darkness of the
Like a
connecting
hallway?
part of the hallway to where like the middle part of the building is. He comes out, and I see him, and he looks at me and just shakes his head, and then he steps back very ominously, and I was like, the fuck
Like
is
back
going
into the
on?
darkness?
Back into the shadow. Yeah, back into the shadows. Like the creepiest thing. Okay, if this was a person, he was going out of his way to be scary to children, which that's not cool. It wasn't Halloween. It wasn't anywhere near Halloween. This happened in like March.
Yeah, no, that's fucking
So
creepy.
even if that's the case, right? That's fucked up. Like, don't scare kids. Second thing is he was a motherfucking ghost, and I have a little bit of evidence to back this up
Okay.
because. So this happened it was a Friday evening, I believe. So Sunday rolls around, and we do the whole church thing. And because of the way it was set up, I had to, like, I helped clean up the like the pews and stuff after Sunday service. So like I'm picking up trash and stuff and like moving stuff around, and like there's a closet behind like the main stage, and that's where they keep like all the stuff from like the week before. So like all the memorial stuff and like the wreath of flowers for like when people have celebrations of life or anything like that. Like they just throw it back there generally unless the family takes it home with them. And so there's a big fucking cutout on like a stand with like a picture of a dude that was like he was janitorial service for the church, looked dead fucking ringer for the dude I saw.
And I mean,
he had died
in that church.
I don't know if he died in the church.
Okay.
Like I was 8. I didn't have the investigative abilities to figure that out.
Okay.
But like he had died before that Friday.
Like the day before?
Like,
or
I don't know how
Okay.
how earlier. I don't know how much earlier. But he died. And then I saw a dude that looked just like him that was acting creepy as shit.
Like a janitor with the
like
big
a janitor
keys.
with the keys. I don't know, man.
Okay, so that's pretty fucking creepy.
Yeah, that was like my first
haunting.
I mean, I didn't feel haunted after the fact or anything, but like
you felt fucking.
Dylan and I went on like school trips because we were in all of elementary school together.
Yeah.
Like, we would tell this story to fucking anyone that would listen.
Yeah, and I mean, he, for all we know, he could be doing a podcast saying the exact same thing.
I mean, check it out. Down the Badger Hole or Badger Hole Podcast at gmail.com. Dylan, hit me up.
No, yeah, so I don't have any stories that like I've definitely seen things. I've never seen what I thought was a person that wasn't a person. Well, that's not true. Okay, I have, but I haven't seen it like clearly to the point where I'm like, okay, this motherfucker is either a person trying to fuck with me or a ghost. Like I haven't.
You've never seen like a full body apparition?
No, I've seen full body apparitions.
But you were like, I know that's a ghost.
Like to the point where like I can see you, like picture you right now, but without a face. Like you're just darkness.
Oh, that's infinitely creepier than what I saw.
Yeah. So I'll go ahead and start with that. So that was a pretty scary story, actually. Genuinely,
No,
like
thanks.
yeah, no,
and that like that's 100% real. Like that shit actually happened to me.
Yeah, no, and that's another reason why we wanted to film this kind of episode. It's more personable. Like
you get a better insight into who we are and like why we like the kind of shit we like, I guess.
Yeah,
because it's relatable.
Well,
because it's actually us.
That and everything in both parties is completely factual. Like I'm not exaggerating any story or making something up. Like all of these experiences that you are going to hear throughout this are 100% true to our beliefs, right? So
actually before you move forward, can I do something real quick?
Go for it.
I forgot that I promised I would shout somebody out.
Oh, right. Yeah, no,
so,
go for it.
Should we do it now or wait till the end of the episode?
Go for it now. See if he hears it.
Yeah, in the middle of an episode. That's
mid
great.
episode.
That's great. All right, so I really should have done this at the beginning, but whatever. I would like to leave a huge shout out to Mike Fetterman 6782 for pointing out literally everything that we did wrong in episode 1. And like that sounds sarcastic, but it's not. I actually do mean it. The input that we received was incredible. Actually, we had so many people say stuff. We got called, what was it that you were like, that's totally what we are.
I don't even remember.
It was
like we're kind of old people. So if you're saying like,
UWD, ugly white dudes, I believe is what it was.
I doubt that's what it is.
I couldn't find anything. I googled it. I'm not up with all of the euphemisms of the internet, but like
he said, and I quote, as Joe Rogan says, 2 UWDSs.
This was not the person I'm shouting out.
BF podcast, smiley face.
Bigfoot podcast, didn't he?
BF.
Oh, boyfriend, obviously, or brothers,
or Bigfoot.
It's Bigfoot. I imagine. I don't
know. But sorry, that wasn't nice.
No, but for real, Mike, you did you left encyclopedia messages underneath our video.
Genuine knowledge that neither of us had.
Right.
So we do genuinely appreciate it.
We do appreciate the input, and everyone that watched it, you're awesome. Thank you so much for the support. And yeah, that's it. I had to.
Yeah, no. Mike, you deserve it. 66 Grudge, who said clueless. I'm sorry. I would elaborate a little. And
to be fair, Chandler was clueless about that episode because I didn't tell him that I was even doing Bigfoot until like the day we were shooting.
The day of, which is fine. But
and so going forward, we do know a bit, or at least we know each other's topics. That way we can research if we feel the need to.
If we think it's necessary. Whereas like episode number 3, I'm not going to know anything about, and that's on purpose because I feel like it's a very educational episode. So yeah, don't miss that.
Yeah, that one's gonna be very, 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 very in depth.
So yeah, all right. Well,
second thing was that first and foremost, we are a comedy podcast. So like, don't take us like too seriously. Yeah, we're gonna throw facts at you, but especially for these early ones where we're just kind of trying to get our roll, our rhythm to how this works. Like, we're making jokes. We spent the first 15 minutes talking about shit the last episode. So like,
yeah, no, like there's certain things that we are gonna joke about, and then there's certain things that we're gonna be serious about.
Like at the end of the day, we're us. We are legitimately brothers.
We're just normal people. That's it.
I don't know about him, but
well, I feel like 98% of the people are on the spectrum, which would make me part of that 98.
That's true.
That
would make you normal. Either way, we appreciate all of the feedback, even the negative shit, because at least that means you're thinking about us. So we get to live rent free in your dome skis. So thanks for all that. All right. On to your story.
So I don't know which one to go with. I have 2 that line up kind of similar to that one.
I thought you said you had 100.
No, I do. No, I'm saying that line up with yours on the creepy scale. All right. We'll shoot for this one. So, do you remember that kid Ben from LA?
Ben 10. Yeah, he could press some stuff on a watch and turn into all sorts of different aliens.
Well, yeah, we did call him Ben 10, but his name was Ben. And I was having a sleepover. I think I was like fucking 6, 7.
Ben, who had like the brothers that looked identical to him, even though they were like significantly younger.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I babysat them a couple times. Yeah.
So, we lived on a military base. His dad was he was high up. I don't think he was colonel, but he was definitely officer. They were in officer housing.
No, they weren't. They lived like 5 houses around, like down from us.
Not that Ben then.
Okay, either way, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. So they lived in a completely different part of the base, which, FYI, every single military base you ever go to is going to be haunted. Sorry.
That's facts.
Yeah, like that's just true.
Like I have no substantiation, but that is 100% true.
So, I was staying the night with him, and he was significantly older than me. It was that kid. It doesn't matter. He was like 3 or 4 years older than me, and it was my first time staying the night almost at anyone's house. Like I'd done it very, very little.
And I just point out that you just said that your first sleepover was with a kid that was 3 or 4 years older than you.
Yes.
That's weird as fuck.
Yeah. Well, hung out with kids older than me.
The more you know.
But so I went over to his house. We had dinner, and he proceeded to tell me creepy shit about his house, which is not the thing to do. Okay, I was 7 or 8, an 8-year-old who doesn't know, like it hasn't been away from home very much. So like, wow, English is hard.
English is hard.
Hasn't been away from home very much, so like that alone is creepy. Even now as an adult, like if I'm going somewhere, don't tell me something fucking creepy about it. Are you that way? I'm that way.
No, because I'm an adult. Like, I don't give a shit.
No, I'm an adult too,
Like,
but I can't cap a ghost.
Well, the Winchesters say you can.
Well, that's true. We'll get into that another time.
Will we?
But like it just creeped me out from the get-go. And then so we were sitting there eating dinner, and he was just talking to me about everything, and I was kind of just letting it go over my head because I didn't want to listen.
Yeah.
So I'm just sitting there eating, trying to have other conversations while he's talking directly to me. And then his mom walks in, and immediately here's what he's saying. And he's like, "Oh yeah, don't scare him, like whatever. Like it's true, but don't scare him." Like
Right.
like yeah. Like just feeding into it.
Validating the shit that he's been telling you that has already got you on edge, for sure.
And so right after we finished eating, I was like, I have a great idea. How about we stay up all night and we play like Black Ops or something, like Call of Duty. Because I was like, if I don't,
I'm a little kid. Let's stay up all night and play Black Ops.
Yeah, if I don't have
young,
to, if I don't have to sleep, then it's not like as scary. I don't know. That's what my brain was saying. And he was like, all right, yeah, we can try. And so we were both playing Xbox in the separate sides of the room.
Mm-hmm.
And probably like 1:30 rolls around. And I'm punching it. I'm like, I'm good, bro. Give me another Mountain Dew. I'm coked up right now, right?
I'm gonna come at you like a spider monkey.
Yeah. I was like, I'm good. And he goes, I think I'm getting tired, man. And I was like, no.
I would just like to point out that was an excellent stage yawn.
Thank you.
You almost made me actually yawn.
I was like, oh, I thought we were gonna play games all night, man. Like that's the point of a sleepover, isn't it? Drink a lot of soda, play video games with your friends. And he was like, yeah, man, I'm just tired. And I was like, all right, well, can I fall asleep first? And he thought that was weird as fuck. He thought that was weird as fuck. Which, to be fair, I mean, now that's weird as fuck. Why did I say that? Don't know. And he looked at me and he was like, why? And I was like, you want me to be honest with you? Your house creeps me out. And he was like, well, I mean, do you want to go home? And I was like, bro, it's 1:30. You got me so fucked up if you think my parents are going to come get me right now.
Facts.
Like, it's 1:30. Yeah. And if I get caught walking home, I'll go to jail for like 5 minutes until my parents come and pick me up.
Because there was a curfew on base. That's why he says that. Actually, I have after this one, I have a story that's not paranormal, but I can still tell that's in the same vein. Actually, I don't think I can tell it.
Yeah, that's fine. Whatever. Another time. But either way, so he was like, I mean, just I can put a movie on, and keep in mind this is 2000 fucking like 10, so like big like flat screens aren't a thing, and if you're a kid, most of the time, I mean, they are.
They're definitely a thing,
but not as well known as they are now. Like,
I mean, they're like more expensive and not as big, but
people just didn't have them as much as they do now,
or they were massive and weighed 7,000 pounds.
Correct. Well, and so
shout out Sony Wegas.
So we were both playing Xbox on these tiny ass little TVs because whenever we were kids, we didn't even have TVs in our room.
No.
Like, so most people didn't back then. But either way,
most people did. We were just poor.
Oh, okay. Well, either way, not important. But he's like, I can put a movie on for you. And I was like, all right, yeah, no, that works. And I mean, all of us guys, when we were younger, we had sleepovers. We shared beds with each other. Like that was the thing, right?
I mean, sparingly.
If you were close with that person.
Yeah. I mean,
so sure. I mean, we were pretty close. And so I get in the bed and he was like, he said something, and I wish I knew what the fuck it was. It still rattles my brain to this day. He goes, if like if you get pushed off the bed or something, just know it wasn't me. And I like laughed. I laughed because I was like, all right, he's just being sarcastic. That means this motherfucker's pushed me off the bed.
If you get pushed off the bed, it wasn't me. That's ominous.
Yeah.
At the very least,
Yeah.
that's ominous.
And so I like laughed, and he was like, oh no, I'm not kidding. And I was like, bro, I'm trying to sleep. What the fuck's wrong with you? And so I'm sitting there, and that's all that's going through my head. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, oh, why am I here?
Not gonna lie, I would have loved to hear you call mom or dad and
But,
be like, you have to come pick me up because this house is haunted as fuck. Dad would have straight up laughed
And
at
mom
your
would've-
ass,
yeah.
and mom would have been like, no,
You're fine.
I'm
Like,
not. I'll
yeah.
see you tomorrow. Love
Yeah.
you. Bye. Get some sleep. Dumbass.
and that's, our parents are very great parents. That's
Yeah,
not anything
awesome.
against them. It's just my mom's always been a very spiritual person, and my dad's always been a smart ass. So he'd just been like, that sucks. But either way.
Yeah. Yeah. Facts.
Either way. So I was just fucking scared to my core. And so I was to the point where I was like, okay, I'm just gonna stay up and stare at the ceiling all night. Don't care.
Well, I mean, that in and of itself can be creepier because, like, once you hit that certain threshold, like, your brain just
You're
starts
hearing
doing
shit
whatever.
and-
Yeah. I mean, like, those old base houses, they would creak. I mean, like,
Just
wind would blow, and it's like,
literally.
it sounds like The Walking Dead is outside of your window
Literally.
immediately.
Literally. So right before he falls asleep, I'm like, next time we do anything, we're going to my house. And he was like, why? And I was like, because all you've told me since I've been here is how much I suck ass at video games and scary shit about where I'm sleeping right now. No one wants to hear that. The talking shit about video games or the creepy shit. No one wants to hear that.
Sounds like a skill issue.
Yeah. It was. I was 8.
And he was like 16 or whatever, so, no big deal.
He wasn't 16. He was like fucking 10 or 11.
Still kind of weird.
Not really. Either way, not important. So I'm getting tired, and keep in mind the TV's still on, and I can't see it because it's far from me and it's small. So I'm just like kind of listening to it and just trying to pry my eyes on it. At this point, I took pillows and put them like right here, so all I could see was the fucking TV.
You put pillow blinders on.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so all I could see was the TV. And then if I heard something or thought I felt something, I'd like fucking just like close my eyes and like flex everything I had. Well, and so I had these blinders on, and I felt the bed move. And I was like, okay, like he's just moving. And then I felt the bed move again. And I was like, okay, why the fuck are you moving? And then I felt the bed again, but this time it was more aggressive. It was like, it wasn't just like a little move. It was like a fucking. And so I like pulled the blinders down and looked to see if he like sat up or something. He was dead fucking asleep. And so I was like, at this point I was shitting myself. So I'm sitting there shaking him. Because I'm like, wake the fuck up. Wake the fuck up. You're older than me. You need to protect me. That's the law, I think.
That's the law of being a child. You're a bigger kid, so this is your responsibility.
Yeah. So I wake him up, and he's like, what the fuck are you doing? And I was like, waking you up? The whole bed just shook. And he was like, yeah, that happens. Like, he was so normal about it. And I was like, that's not something that fucking happens, bro. Like, A, no. B, fuck you. Wake up. Fucking walk my ass home or something. I'm not sleeping. And he was like, bro, it's fine. And I was like, okay, A, I also really have to pee. And he was like, down the hall or down the stairs to the left. I was like, I'm not going by myself.
You gotta walk me to the bathroom, motherfucker.
Yeah. And he was like, there's a bottle over there. And I'm 8, so I was like, fuck it. I'm gonna go piss in that bottle.
Of course
so
you were.
Yeah, duh. So I go piss in this
You're
bottle.
22, you'd still do that.
No, that's a bathroom, by the way.
He's got 2 in this apartment.
Yeah. I don't piss in Shut up. Okay, so either way, so that all happens. I piss in the bottle. I go back and lay down. He's already asleep again because that's how that works, right? And I'm about to fall asleep. It's probably like 3:30, 4 o'clock, and I'm finally to that point where I'm like falling asleep.
Right.
And then I feel the covers pull off of me,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, okay, he's still in covers. And then I think to myself, we're not using the same fucking blanket. And so I am like tears in my eyes, afraid to turn around.
Right. You're like
And-
shitting yourself.
Yeah, no, I'm just like, I'm pretending that I'm asleep. You know, that
Yeah.
I can't see you, you can't see me.
Exactly. Yeah, that little kid mentality of
Yeah.
like I'm safe so long as I don't look at the immediate danger. Yeah.
And so I feel it tug again, and it was just little bit a tug. And I felt it like 3 or 4 times, and then I say, fuck it, and I throw the blanket over and I look. And I shit you not, I see something so the foot of the bed is right here. I see something drop down past the foot of the bed, and the cover's still kind of on me, but it's hanging off the bed a little bit.
Okay. That's
And-
creepy as fuck.
And then the fucking blanket flies off the bed.
Ah. Yeah. Bye. I'm out.
I literally ran to his parents' room and just beat on the fucking door. And I was like, I'm going home now. And so he gets in the car, takes me home. I'm pretty sure I told mom and dad about that like the next day. And mom was like, oh yeah, it's military base. Like, happens.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
And dad was dad about it.
Yeah.
Well, that sucks. Sorry about it. Guess you won't be staying there anymore.
I'm surprised that dad didn't come to the door like completely buck ass naked, like
That was a different story. Yeah.
wine drunk, and
Yeah.
be like, "Hi, Chandler, what's up?"
So yeah, no, that literally happened, and I might be exaggerating the blanket flying off. No matter what, the blanket like was pulled off completely.
Right.
Like it didn't fly across
In the
room.
moment, you were like, "Oh my god!"
It just fucking flew
Right,
20 feet.
it's
No,
gone.
it just pulled off of me,
Yeah.
which still fucking creepy.
Mhm.
And whenever I first thought I saw something, I was like, okay, I'm tired.
Right.
I'm delirious.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I thought that, the blanket fucking flew.
Well, like, I mean, I don't know. California was weird though because we did live on that base for so long.
And we lived in 2 different houses. The
We
first
did. The first one was haunted as
as
fuck. Holy shit, haunted. But at the same time, like, when you live in Southern California, you get used to weird shit like earthquakes.
yeah,
Like,
out of nowhere.
yeah, and you're just like, yeah, whatever. It just happens. Yeah. Sometimes everything just fucking shakes violently for
Yeah.
like a second, and you just go back to normal.
Yep.
Yeah, the first time I lived through an earthquake, I was like, why is everybody not freaking the fuck out? And they're like, this happens all the time. But then, holy shit, the wind blows hard there, and like they all lose their fucking minds. And I'm like, I used to watch tornadoes in our front yard, like just chilling. So, you know, it's one of those like regional things that isn't a big deal because you've lived there for so long, I suppose.
Yeah, and honestly, paranormal was almost up there with that because almost anywhere you went was old as fuck. where
Oh
we
yeah,
lived.
like
Like-
shit, the houses that we lived in Connecticut.
Were the same way.
Yeah, the ones in Ansonia, that base was like put there in the fucking in like the early 1900s, like 1908, I want to say is when that housing development got put in for the military. And they were fucked up. I don't remember a whole lot of paranormal stuff about those.
I don't either. I was too young. Mom does. Mom has a story about I think it was the second house.
The one
And-
in New Haven?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, that one had plenty of creepy shit. But the
Okay.
ones in Ansonia, the only creepy thing about that was that fucking we had like a forest behind us, and there was like one of those you were really young, so I'm not sure how much of this you actually remember. But there was like a pull up bar, like a multi-tiered pull up bar
Yeah, I
thing
don't
that was like
remember that.
all inset in rocks and stuff. And it was like the most random shit because it's not like there was a playground or to accompany that or anything. There was no other equipment. It was literally just like
Was there a sidewalk there?
no,
Oh,
it was
that-
just fucking
that's
out in the middle of the goddamn woods up this giant ass hill that Trevor almost died in because like there was a snowdrift. So we had this is not paranormal at all. It's just kind of a funny story. So we had a hill that ran at like some crazy incline, like away from our house. Like our house basically lived in a bowl caldera of this hill, right? And in Connecticut, sometimes it just fucking snows for like days, like it doesn't stop. And we got like 4 feet in a couple days once, and so Trevor was out there, and he's a little guy, must have been
7, 8.
yeah, if that, and he was just out there do. Like we had these crappy little snowboards that like your feet couldn't actually move in, like the bindings were just like these plastic things, like straps almost. They were fucking terrible, but I loved them. I was up and down the hill all the time because I could like reach through the snow, but Trevor couldn't, and he's like do. And like I saw him and then I didn't, and there was just a hole, and I was like, oh shit, Trevor, and he's just freaking out inside of this snow hole. So I had to go grab a broom and like fish him out, and that was fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, then we moved to the house in New Haven, and like there was a basement that
Oh, is this? Are you gonna tell a story from this house?
it was just a short one.
All right. I mean, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, like there was so the basement was unfinished, and it was creepy as fuck.
It was creepy. I even remember
and
this.
you were super young.
I was like 2 or 3.
Yeah,
like
way young. And like that's where that's like where we stored shit.
The washer and dryer.
The washer and dryer were down there. The stairs were made of like, I don't know, balsa wood or some crazy shit.
From
so
like 1762.
So it like fucking shook every time you took a step. And then there was like a creepy curtain down there in like one section of the wall when we moved in. And this was just a house that we rented. And like we moved the curtain back and there was like a fucking hole that was about that big.
In the concrete wall.
In a concrete wall that led further back under not our house because like the foundation was that wall. The basement. So like that was the edge and it would just let out into nothing. And like we put flashlights in there and like you couldn't see the back of it. We called it the portal to hell. It was creepy as fuck.
Yeah.
That's where we had a cat named Ozzy that used to hang out in there until we evicted him because he was kind of a dick to you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Kind of like the squirrels in New Haven.
Oh, yeah. That was funny, though.
For another time.
Those big-ass squirrels would chase you around. I used to have to shoot them with a slingshot.
All right. It is your turn for a story.
Oh, I kind of just told one, but all right.
That wasn't a story.
Okay. I don't want to, like, tell all my stories, you know?
No, yeah, that's fine. I'd say you do one more and I'll do one more.
All right. How about I do, like, a short one?
All right, yeah, that's fine.
Because I kind of just told a short one and then...
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. So when we were living in LA, obviously lots of creepy stuff was going on there. And like, so I was 13 when we moved to Los Angeles and then 18 when we left. So
we were there for a long
time. I didn't abide by the base's curfew very much.
No one did, to be completely honest. That was kind of the thing. Like all of us, sorry to interrupt you, but all of us would like go out and play like, what was it called? It was flashlight tag or manhunt.
Oh yeah, we would play a lot of manhunt.
Yeah, so like it was the goal to just not get caught.
But it was literally like every kid on base
from the age of 10 to 18.
Yeah, like, would be out there like just having a great time. Man, summers were incredible, except
LA.
Yeah, well, yeah, that wasn't incredible. But like, no, I mean, there'd be like 60 kids out there all playing flashlight tag, or we'd play soccer at night, which looking back was not a good idea at all.
Fucking like racquetball. That was a thing.
Yeah, there were racquetball courts. We also there were some nice tennis courts and stuff. Like, I mean, you know, the amenities were great.
There was stuff to do.
There were lots of playgrounds. Lots of playgrounds.
And trees.
There were lots of palm trees, yeah.
No, there was those trees that were like planted that we would always climb up and like.
Oh, yeah, you're talking about the one right outside of the second house.
That one, and then there was a bunch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I think they were still palm trees though.
But probably
they were just bent really weird. They were like super low to the ground.
Yeah.
But either way, so all right, well, I guess I'll tell two because they both kind of
interlink.
Yeah, a little bit. So the first one happened at night. I was not paying attention to the curfew. It was probably like 11:30. I was like 16, 17. And I had a buddy that was over staying the night, and there were a couple of girlies down the way that we may or may not have been interested in conversing with physically.
We got it.
And so, you know, we're just out chilling, and my buddy, who I'm not going to mention his name because not a buddy anymore, but he said something that really irritated me. So I kind of walked off from the rest of the group, and I don't know, 20, maybe 30 yards ahead just walking down a main street. It's semi lit in this part of the base, but we were headed to um, one of the playgrounds because that's what you did. You just hung out on the playgrounds at base, like,
Or at the like electrical boxes.
or at the electrical boxes, or at the like the BX if it was open, and it was not because it was 11:30 at night. Speaking of the electrical boxes, though, so I see what I can tell is a cop car coming toward me on the main street, like heading toward gate 2, and I'm like, oh fuck, I hope those idiots see it because only one of them lived on base. So I'm like, fuck this, I'm a dip. So I walk like into essentially like more of a housing development rather than like a main road. And to my left there are these big like ground level transformers that have like a 10-foot cage around them with razor wire all the way across. Like do not fuck with this shit, it will kill you is the vibe it gives you because, well, yeah. And again, they're, you know,
50 yards behind you.
not even, but like I'm like, yeah, whatever, I don't even care because they've all irritated me. I'm gonna dip this way. So maybe 10-15 feet to my left as I like get away from the road, there are these transformers, and just out of the corner of my eye, I'm like I see something, but my brain doesn't really catch what it is, right?
You're too worried about the cop in that moment.
Well, I mean, yeah, the adrenaline's going because it's like I'm not supposed to be out here. Like they could ticket me, and I really don't want to pay like the $80 fine or whatever it is. Like I just don't want to deal with any of that. But then also like there shouldn't be anything there because it's 11:30 at night. So I'm like, whatever, not a deal. I'm gonna keep walking like into these houses, not into the houses, but into like the courtyard of these houses, and I'm just gonna wait to see if the idiots behind me follow me. So I walk in and there's sidewalk everywhere. It's like a big spider web basically. And I walk over behind this tree. I'm like, man, if the cop comes into this little turnaround cul-de-sac parking lot thing, I don't want him to spot me, so I'm gonna hide behind this tree. So the cop actually does stop, and I'm like, I'm glad I'm behind this tree. As the cop stops, I look back at the transformer thing and I see like a red flashing light. I was like, that must be something from the cop car. Because, you know, they got all sorts of crazy fucking lights on them. Yeah. Like 30, 40 seconds goes by. Cop rolls on. At this point, I'm expecting my friends to walk toward where I'm at. But instead, I see like a dark shadow move inside.
Just a silhouette.
Kind of a silhouette, but like...
It wasn't a clear silhouette.
It was very ethereal. Like I couldn't see through it. It looked solid, but it also looked like something that wasn't supposed to be there.
Like foggy, kind of.
Almost like there was like when you're in the desert and you see a mirage like on the road.
Yeah.
Like you see that transference of heat. That's almost what it looked like. But it was like more solid than that. It's hard to explain. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then like another like red light behind this thing, but inside of this thing, and it's almost the shape of a person.
Okay.
And this is inside the big don't fuck with this cage where the transformer is. So I'm shaking my head. I'm like, what is this? And I like keep watching it for what felt like forever. And it didn't do anything. It didn't change. It was probably only 2 seconds. And then I was like, you know how like when you're playing hide and seek and you're like, I really have to pee?
Dude, yes. Okay. I'm glad you brought that up because every time I bring that up to someone, they're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Is that just an us thing?
It might be.
Like,
yo, everyone let us know. Is that an everyone thing? If you just pissed, but you find the best hiding seek spot, you're like, damn, I really have to pee. Just side note, just let us know.
That's literally how it's always been for me.
Same.
And so that was the feeling that I got, just like kind of staring at this thing. And I was like, oh. So I like shifted and I took my eyes off it for a split second. It was gone. And I was like, what the fuck? So I walked over to this cage thing, and the only thing I could see, and I shit you not, it looked like the soles of feet of like shoes, like the rubber soles of shoes had been burned right into the spot that I was looking at.
that weren't there when you.
I didn't see them before. That doesn't mean they weren't there, but that's exactly what it looked like. It looked like somebody had been
melted out of.
Yeah, that's what it fucking looked like. It's somebody melted out of their shoes.
Holy fuck!
So I avoided that
Rest of
electrical
base
thing forever after that. I was like, fuck
Holy
this.
shit.
I went by it like during the day, no issue, but at night I was like, I'm going to the other side of the street. I'm not fucking with this because that scared the fuck out of me.
Well, so before I get into my story, we're also gonna mention that anytime that you were walking in base, so if the lights went on, for me personally, that was curfew. If the street lights were on, I needed to be inside.
That was like parental curfew.
Curfew.
On base, it was
11.
It was 10.
It was 10
10
okay.
p.m.
And that's
for anyone under the age of 18.
Yeah. So, but obviously, I mean, that wasn't always the case. And I mean, in California, it would stay light out until 10.
Oh, yeah.
In the middle of summer. So, like,
yeah.
it was, but if it was dark out and you were just walking on the sidewalk, all throughout the base, there were street lights on the sidewalk.
All over the main road.
And I shit you not, it always felt like as soon as you walked under
they
one,
would go off.
it just flip off. And then as soon as you get 20 feet away, it'd turn back on. And then the one that you're standing right next to would flip off.
Like, so you know how when you're like a little kid and you're in a car on the highway and you're driving and there are street lamps and they like shut off when you go under and you're like, oh, that was creepy.
Yeah.
That's what this was like, but every time when you were walking by yourself.
And it wasn't, it wasn't every single time. It was only when you were by yourself.
I guess it wasn't every time, but it was
only when you were by yourself. So
it was like the creepiest times it could happen is when it would happen.
Yeah.
It was like something new and it was fucking with you.
Yeah.
What it felt
and it already feels ominous because you're in this creepy environment already with old ass buildings all around you. And then you're just walking and then darkness out of nowhere.
This is the same base that the Battle of Los Angeles occurred at, which is an episode that we should definitely do. It's where the term Foo Fighters doesn't originate, but was used very heavily.
Yeah. So, yeah, just wanted to throw that in just because that's another creepy fact about this base. But I'm going to try to spit out two. One that's relatively quick and very, very recent that I don't even know if I really touched base on this with you. But so me and someone that we know went camping in the middle of winter in a snowstorm.
Oh yeah. I was like, wait, somebody that went camping like with us? No, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So me and a buddy went camping, and it was
a really stupid time to go camping.
It was very, very stupid. It was like -20.
Yeah, like they could have died.
But that's what it was. We wanted to test ourselves and see how much we could actually endure. And so we were like, all right, fuck it. We'll just take the necessities that we need to survive and we'll go camp for a couple nights out in the middle of this blizzard, which is what we did.
And they didn't die.
And we didn't die.
So good on you.
It was cold, and what I'm about to tell you was fucking creepy. But
I don't think I've heard this story yet.
But at this point, I was an adult. I had my guns, like, come fight me. Like,
yeah, this was very, very recent.
This was
like 4 months ago.
Yeah, 4 or 5 months ago.
Oh no, it was before that because
it was like 6-7 months ago.
Wasn't born. Yeah, either way,
not that important. 6-7 months ago, and actually, probably doesn't matter.
Whatever you're trying to do math. What month is it?
Doesn't really matter. But so we have my pickup truck backed up to this campsite essentially. So like my taillights are probably 20 feet from the actual tent, and then the tent, and then we have a fire pit outside of the tent, and then we also built like a wind block shelter thing to kind of help keep the wind from pushing the tent at all, because that's the way that the wind was coming from. So like the gates right here, or the actual
entrance to the tent,
and
the
then
front flap, if you will.
Yeah, and then the back of the tent's over here. My truck's parked right here, and then we built a block right here, and it's probably 11. And when you're camping, that's late as fuck already.
Yeah,
because when you're camping, you usually go to bed pretty early. So we
8:30 if I'm camping, I'm probably out. Yeah. Unless I'm drinking, in which case it's maybe never.
Which we were drinking, but it wasn't a lot. I definitely was not intoxicated. Like I could drive and be fine. But
could have driven.
Not did. Could have driven and been fine. But we start to hear shit, and I'm watching a movie. I just have like headphones in, and I'm watching something on my phone, and I hear something, so I take it out, and then as soon as I take mine out, he like rolls up and he's like, "Did you hear that?" And I was like, "Yes." What the fuck was that? And at first it had just heard kind of like footsteps, like the rocks kind of moving.
Oh, yeah.
And then it sounded like rocks dragging, kind of.
The
like,
fuck?
Yeah. So it was very, very weird. And so we were both like, what? And so we tried to look out the window of the tent, but we just couldn't get the right angle. And it was dark outside on that side because the moon was on the other side. So we couldn't see shit.
Well, it's not to interject,
No, you're
but
good.
when you're shining a flashlight like out of a fucking tent,
You can't see
you
shit.
can't see anything because you generally
You
have a
have that black
screen in front of
mesh.
you.
Yeah.
And that like catches all the light and it just disperses everything in front of you. So like last time we went camping, we were having an issue with raccoons getting into our like our shit. So I was like closest to the place they were getting in at. So I'd constantly be shining my flashlight
couldn't
out.
see
And I've
shit.
got like I have a flashlight that will literally start a fire. It does not give a fuck. It is
It's essentially a lightsaber.
That's kind of what this flashlight is. And yeah, there were times like I'd be like I'd hear something, click that bitch on, just couldn't see anything. And then there was also the time that I was like,
he thought that there was something out there when it was it was deer. He was like
I thought
freaking out.
I thought it was a fucking skinwalker.
Yeah.
Like coming to eat my ass.
Yeah. Well,
is what
so
I thought it was.
the funny thing about that is my wife had talked about skinwalkers that day. And then there was some creepy noises and it turns out that it was just deer, but all he saw was eyeballs and they
I saw
taller.
I saw eyeballs and antlers, and I saw it went from being bedded down to what looked like a lot taller than a deer could be because it was on a hill.
Yeah.
That I couldn't see because it was dark.
And then so my dad goes out there and I go out there and I point a flashlight. And as soon as I point the flashlight to where he's pointing it, he's like, "Oh, never mind. Just deer. We're good."
Something about having that other angle of light. Either way, sorry. Get back to your story. You heard dragging rocks.
Yeah. So we heard dragging rocks and we had tried to look out the mesh and we just couldn't. And so I was like, I'm not going out there yet. Like, and we're still hearing it. And so I was like, hello.
Was it snowing at this point?
No.
Okay.
It had already stopped snowing. And that was another weird part is because there was like 8 inches of snow.
Yeah, you shouldn't.
We shouldn't have been able to hear any of it.
There should be no rocks really because everything was covered in like a lot of snow at that point.
And that's exactly what this person had said. He was like, we shouldn't, even if there is something, we shouldn't be able to hear it.
Right.
Because it's just snow. So you're just walking on clouds.
Crunching of snow, if anything.
And so we're both like, hey, whoever's out there needs to fuck the fuck off. And we didn't hear anything. But then we heard more like footsteps and dragging in the rock. And so I'm like, I swear. Yep. I was like, I swear I'm going to come out there with my gun. And I fucking chamber one. And it's quiet for like 3 minutes. And we're both just sitting there and we're like, okay, you think we should go out there? And then we hear the same fucking thing. And I was like, all right, hold on. Because where my truck was parked, I was like, let me try something. I lock my truck,
right,
which turns my taillights on. And we see a shadow onto the shin.
No,
yep, swear. All we fucking see though is antlers. That's all we saw. And we were like, okay, that's possible. Like the way that it was could have been like it could have been eating like it.
Right, a deer.
It could have just been a deer or an elk or even a moose.
Yeah, I hope it's not a moose.
And so we were like, all right, this is fucking terrifying. And then it looked and sounded like whatever it was brushed up against the
tent.
The tent. And so this person fucking just kicks the tent.
Oh shit.
And claims that he felt something.
I believe it.
Yeah, I do too. The
person in question is very level-headed.
And so he's like, I don't know what the fuck that is, but he's shaking, I'm shaking. It's fucking cold. It's -20 outside.
Yeah,
we're like, that's not a person.
Because of hypothermia.
We're like, that's not a person. And so I throw my overalls on. He fucking grabs his 12 gauge. I grab my 40. We both chamber one and we run out the tent. And this is a minute later, max.
Nothing.
We walk outside. There's not even fucking prints in the snow.
Ooh, fuck that.
Yeah.
That's creepy shit.
Yeah.
That's a good story.
Yeah.
Yeah. That like gave me goosebumps a little bit. Yeah. That's a nice one.
So that's one story. And then I'll tell one more to leave it off. This one's relatively quick. So I think I was like 12. We were living in Thermopolis.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and say that I wasn't the best kid. I know I think I said that in the first episode, but I started smoking cigarettes whenever I was like 10.
Yeah, Hellion does not really come close to describing how he was until a couple years ago.
Um, and so I started smoking cigarettes whenever I was like 10. And obviously I hid that from my family and my parents and everything. And me and my buddy, Mikey, who are still best friends,
Shout out, Mikey.
we go and we sneak out my window. And whenever you come out the window, we have a wraparound porch on the house that we lived in.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's stairs that pass the front door, and then you go down the stairs, and then my parents' window's right there.
Yeah, so it's like just like you said, it's a deck that goes around basically the back half of the house, which was elevated off the ground because the house is built on a hill.
Yeah. So either way, we sneak out, and our goal is to go smoke.
Sure.
Just cigarettes. We're not smoking weed or anything.
Not yet.
But well, I'm sure we had been, but not this night. But so we sneak down and we crouch past my parents' window, and we're trying to be super quiet, which we were. And then probably 30 feet away, we have this nice garden. Well, the garden starts right at my parents' window, but 30 feet away, there's this nice bench. And we're far enough away that like they're not going to hear us or anything. So we're like, all right, if we can just get to this bench, we're good. And that's usually where we would go smoke in the middle of the night. And so there was no randomness.
Are you
to
talking
it.
like over where the RV used to be parked?
No, into the garden. Like, so into the.
That's.
Nope.
Okay.
So down the deck in the front yard, or backyard technically.
So, where the trees were in the back, where
Yes.
we were growing potatoes and stuff.
Yes.
Where
that whole
where
garden
the root cellar was. Okay.
and the bench.
Sorry,
and the swing,
that was
the swing,
just from
the
my
swing.
mental image. Yeah.
The swing.
Okay, I know exactly what you're talking about.
And so we sat in the swing, and the swing was old, and so you had to be quiet, or else it would go.
Oh yeah, it was very squeaky.
And so we were like, all right, whatever, we're gonna be quiet. And again, we had done this plenty of times before, but the squeaking is loud enough to potentially wake up our parents.
It's so old. It was made from non-standard wood. It was like tree limbs that had been cut down, hollowed out, and that was like they put dowels through this thing, and that's
pretty much.
That's fucking crazy.
So we sit down and we're just smoking, and we're not really talking. I mean, if we are, we're just kind of whispering and being quiet. And then he looks at me and he was like, I just got the weirdest feeling. And I was like, what? And he's like, I just felt like something was like watching us. And I was like, yeah, that happens to me often here.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, like, if you guys haven't had that feeling, that it is a sensational feeling that like you can't explain.
I think that's like, it's like lizard brain base human type.
Maybe
like that feeling of being watched, where like the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, and you get uneasy.
Yep.
Like it is hard to describe, but everyone knows that feeling.
Yeah.
Even if you have never, let's say you grew up in Plato's allegory of the cave and you don't even know what other people are, like, that fucking feeling.
Yeah. So, and that was as soon as we both lit our cigarettes. And I was like, yeah, no, that happens to me often.
I would like to point out that exactly what you're talking about, I used to get that same feeling all the time. Something about, so
right behind the swing was trees.
And
this whole thing,
there weren't a lot of trees. Like,
no, there was a lot.
No. In the neighborhood that we lived in, there were very few trees.
Just this garden.
We had a tiny tree forest on our 10 acres that was just like right in the middle of the fucking property. It was very, very weird.
Yeah, it was very strange. And so after we probably 2 minutes goes by, and I get the chills out of nowhere, which isn't unusual just because it is Wyoming in the middle of, I don't remember what time of year it was.
I mean, the wind could have blown.
Yeah, the wind could have blown. I just get chills out of nowhere. And I was like, boo. And he was like, you have that feeling too? And I was like, I do now. Like, like out of nowhere.
It wasn't a thing until you said something.
Yeah. And then I was like, I feel like something is behind it. And he was like, I think we're good. And I was like, even if you do turn around, bro, you're not going to see anything. Because all that's there is just brush. Like, you're not going to be able to see. Either way. So we finished smoking, and we're just sitting out there for a few seconds so that we don't draft the smell past my parents' window. And we're both sitting down, and our feet are still and everything. And the swing like kind of caves in a little, and it just kind of felt like Mikey moved.
Mm-hmm.
but he swore that he didn't,
Mm-hmm.
which I didn't believe him until a few minutes go by.
Mm-hmm.
So after a few minutes, we stand up. We both get up quietly while holding the chains on both sides so that they don't
Creek,
Yeah.
right?
And we walk probably 10 feet and then hear, and we were like, what the fuck? Like, it's not windy. And it wasn't moving yet.
And where this is,
couldn't really be hit with wind.
I mean, it could, but like you would know because all the trees would be rustling around it.
And it wasn't. And we walked 15 feet before that happened. And so we both rushed over to it and grabbed the fucking chains.
Yeah. Shut up, asshole.
And
You're going to get us caught.
Yeah. And we were like, fuck. And Mikey was like, I think something was sitting with us, which just fucking creeped me the fuck out.
Right.
I was like, shut up. We're still out here. Wait until we get inside.
We're still touching this thing.
Yeah. I was like, shut up. And he's like, not trying to scare you, but like, I'm about to shit my pants. Like being Mikey.
Yeah, that sounds very Mikey.
And so as soon as we stop, we try to walk away again.
Mm-hmm.
Quicker, obviously, because we're creeped the fuck out. So we get 15, 20 feet. So we're almost to their window. And then, and we fucking book it back to the swing because our fear, it was partially the demon, but it also was being
that escalated real fast. It went from a swing moving to it's a demon,
or getting caught from mom and dad,
which
so like
is infinitely scarier.
Yeah, so we were like, just shut the fuck up.
Than a swing demon.
Yeah, cool. And this is where it gets like, this is terrifying to me at least. So we stopped the swing, and Mikey was like, I mean, it's been fucking 10 minutes. You want to smoke another cigarette? I was like, not here. But we ended up sitting back down and smoking a cigarette.
Beans.
And so at this point, we've been outside for 30 minutes now. Yeah. And once we're done, we get back up to go inside. And Mikey, so we're walking up the stairs to the deck.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing happened with the swing after we smoked this last cigarette, and we're just trying to go back inside.
Right.
Mikey tripped going up the stairs.
I mean,
which
happens.
Happens.
I've done it hundreds of times in my life.
Happens. But he was fucking loud. And so I was like, shut the fuck up. Like, you fucking. And he was like, bro, I swear something grabbed me. And I was like, you're just making a fucking excuse, and you have it because we just got fucking creeped the fuck out.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
You're just being a bitch. And he was like, no, dude, I swear. And I was like, whatever, get the fuck inside. We gotta be quiet. And so we climb back in my window, and we put the screen back on, and we're going to lay down, and he takes his jeans off, and he has fucking claws on his leg.
Claw marks.
Like a claw, like claw
scratches.
Marks. Yeah. On his fucking leg.
That's creepy as fuck.
Yeah.
That one didn't scare me as much as the previous one. But
yeah. But it's
mostly because like
it's Mikey.
It's you and Mikey.
Yeah.
Like,
but yeah, so that one, genuinely, I have so many more, but we're already at an hour and 15 minutes.
Hey, that's pretty good.
So, I mean, honestly, if you guys want to hear more, let us know.
Let us know.
We can definitely do part twos.
I want to hear from Mikey on this episode. Mikey, you better be watching, and I want to hear what you have to say about that last story.
Yeah.
Give us some validity. Back that shit up. All right, what else? Let's see. We've got if you've got any questions, comments, concerns, you just generally want to talk shit to us, that's cool too. You can send that over to badgerholepodcast@gmail.com.
And to back that up, we would like the opinions for this podcast. Are the mics better? Was our talking more fluent? Like, was everything more
fluent or fluid?
Whatever the word is.
Both. Pick one.
I'm clueless.
Dealer's choice. Oh yeah, that's right. You are just
SS Scrooge.
Right. Man, you're so salty.
But no, genuinely, would just like some feedback.
Yeah.
And
things you liked, things you didn't like. It's kind of hard to tell us that we don't know anything about this one because it was all personal stories. So take that, haters.
Yeah.
But the next one, there's gonna be so much. Depending on how interruptions go, which I love the interruptions. I love the back and forth that we have.
It might be a little longer.
It might be a pretty long one. I've spent like more hours than I care to admit writing notes so far, but I hold myself to a higher standard when it comes to notes like that, especially after the Bigfoot episode, and everyone was like, "You guys don't know shit." I was thrown together a little more hastily than I would like. I did have a quasi podcast that was shared only amongst people I know before this, and that was a straight hour of me talking with hard researched facts. I had no one else to bounce anything off of. Why is your computer trying to delete an old version of Windows?
I don't know.
That's weird as fuck, actually.
Oh well.
All right, well, that's interesting. But where else can they find us, Chandler? We're on TikTok.
We're on TikTok.
Obviously on YouTube. We're gonna be on Spotify here coming up shortly. We're gonna have a Facebook coming up shortly. It's been a busy time.
Yeah. So we haven't posted anything on TikTok as of yet.
Okay.
There will be clips from this episode on TikTok.
As like teasers.
Yeah.
I like that.
I left the Bigfoot one out just because I feel like, no offense to anyone, including us, I feel like Bigfoot is very talked about.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So we'll put something more personable out to the TikTok.
Oh yeah, I'm cool with that.
And some teasers, and then obviously this whole episode will be on YouTube. Same with the first one. So if you missed the first one,
go back and watch it.
Go back and watch it. It was really good.
Episode
the mic
1,
quality
Bigfoot
was not as good. It's the Origins of Bigfoot episode 1.
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
I would have done episode 1 first. That way it's easier to search. But that's just me. Just me. You're handling all the YouTube shit, and I'm writing notes.
All right. Well, I think that is a wrap, and I think that's where we exit the badger hole.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's nothing to, like, we don't have to, there's no badger hole to jump out of on this one, because it's all personal shit.
All right. Well.